I have your December 2025 market update for three counties here in the Charleston area that will explain to you how December ended and how the year wrapped up. Now, these numbers, I cannot remember all of them, so I'm going to be looking at my sheets and I need my glasses, so I'm going to be doing a little finagling here. But I think overall, what you're going to find is that it's not what you expected. And it is what I expected because I live it every day. But you're going to see that the numbers weren't so bad. And even though it was a challenging year for so many reasons, buyers were so particular, sellers had expectations that weren't being met. And it was just a really tough year. Even if we weren't getting multiple offers at once, we were getting multiple offers, but buyers and sellers could not agree on terms or price. So it was just challenging. I think that 2026, I don't even know what year we're in right now, is going to be a different year. And I can explain that later. But for now, let's look at the numbers. So I'm going to do Charleston County, Dorchester County, and Berkeley County that are all right here. We work those areas. I mainly focus on Charleston County, to be honest, but other people on my team focus on other areas also. So I feel like we're very well rounded. So I'm going to go over all the numbers. Just bear with me. So in Charleston County for December 2025, closed sales in December were down 2.5%. That makes sense. It's December. Everything does slow down a bit. And really, December closings, that kind of goes back to November and even October. So it is the normal seasonal slowdown. But for the year, we were up 3.8% in closed sales. So we sold more houses in Charleston 2025 than we did in 2024. Average sales price for December was up 11.1%. Average sales price 984,980. Nuts. Average sales price year to date in Charleston was just over a million at a million, basically a million 40. That's up 6.4% for the year. So, I mean, prices were up, sales were up, and what's really telling here is the percent of original list price to what they actually got, what the seller got. That number for December was down 1.1%, and sellers were expecting to get about 95% of what they were asking for their houses. So they were coming down almost 5%. Year to date, we were down, meaning sellers didn't get what they wanted. They got less this year than they did last year. But it's interesting, right? Because average sales prices were up 6.4%, but sellers weren't getting what they wanted. So that tells me that sellers were still overpricing their houses. The market has gotten smarter. Buyers don't have that money to throw around, and they're not. So some people were disappointed. The Again, 95.6% is what a seller was getting from off of their original list price. And in both cases, days on market were up 25 and 30% respectively. So for December, the average days on market time it took to get your house under contract was 54 days. That was up 25, almost 26% from 2024 in December. And then year to date, days on market 43, and now it's up 30%. So it's interesting. That's Charleston County. Now, Charleston County kind of leads the pack in numbers with their sales prices. But then we go to Dorchester County, which is a neighboring county, and the numbers are very different. So the average sales price there in Dorchester is 421,329 for December, and that's up 6.7% over last year. And then year to date, average sales price was 429, and that's up 5.9%, so nearly 6%. The market's up there too. So sellers are still coming down in their list prices, but actually from December and year to date, they were only coming down 4%. So they were being a little more reasonable up there. in their pricing. Days on market, same thing. Actually, days on market here and there are Charleston and Dorchester were exactly the same. So December 53 days on market and year to date 43. That is longer by 20%, 19%. So it's an interesting number. And then closed sales for December in Dorchester were up 18%. And for the year, they were down 7.6%. So every county is a little different. But when you look at sales prices being up and days on market being a little bit longer and sellers not receiving 100% of list price, it's just interesting. People are overpricing or they're pricing and the buyers want a deal. So I do know that people are still getting full price. It's just fewer and further between. So you've got to be real strategic when you price. So Dorchester County did great. Now, the last county we're going to look at is Berkeley County. And I think it's important to note that this is Dorchester County and Berkeley County. They have rural areas also in those counties, but I know we have lots of clients that live in Somerville. So I want to give these numbers because they're important. So for Berkeley County in December, closed sales were up 20%. Average sales price was down 5.6%. Average sales price in Berkeley County was $497,284. Percent of original list price to the price they received, 96.5%. So sellers weren't coming down as much as they were in the other two counties. This number is actually down just about 2% over the same time in 2024. And same exact almost days on market, 52 days on market in December. So it took, the better part of, it took nearly 2 months to sell a house, which is nothing, to be honest. That's not a long time. We just got used to the, 6 hours. And year to date in Berkeley County, you're seeing the same thing. Closed sales were up 5%. Average sales price was up only 1%. So average sales price year to date in Berkeley County for 2025 was $536,000. Sellers were getting 97% of list price, so doing very well. And average days to sell a house at the end of the year when it was all said and done was 49 days. So you can go into these numbers and you can dive into the individual communities and then get even more micro and get into your neighborhood. And I'm happy to give you those numbers. I think it's a great thing to understand. In fact, when I go on listing appointments, I like to talk about the county that you live in, the area that you're in within the county, and then your neighborhood. And then we dive down into houses that are just like yours. And then we compare differences. That's how we really get a good grasp on what the houses are worth and where we should price when you're going to list your house. Now, if you're just looking to see what is my house worth, I'm curious, I'm trying to make some decisions, we're happy to help you with that too. I like to say that I am a great numbers person, but I'm also fairly touchy. I can look at, that kind of sounds bad, but I can kind of look at the house and see how it shows and how it feels. And that is what makes people buy as much as price. Price is super important, and so are all the other things. So I expect 2026 to be, I think, a little bit better of a year than last year. I think that people don't think that the sky is falling like they did last year. People thought it was going to be a repeat of 2008, and it didn't happen. So buyers know that it didn't happen. Things are still unstable with the United States and the economy, and inflation is trying to get in check. So there are still things out there, but we have almost a whole percentage point less with a mortgage interest rate this year than we did last year. So that affects affordability. And as long as people feel like they can afford it, they're going to come out and buy. Charleston, as you can see from these numbers, our prices are growing, our sales are up for the most part. So I don't see any reason to think that 2026 is going to be a bad year at all. In fact, I'm guessing that sellers do better this year than they did last year. So that's your market update. I'm happy to dive deeper in any area or any situation that you would like me to. Just message me, DM me or pass this on to someone you know that might need help, and I am happy to chat with them. Thanks so much. Have a great one.